Hello. It's been a while since I shot a video or talked about the energies as I've been going through my own experiences and life lessons, which have been quite intense since actually for me, since before the Scorpio eclipse. It was really in Virgo season where I started to experience my life starting to kind of become unraveled, and in noticing that and in noticing my own reactions and emotions within that, trying to ride that wave is extremely emotional. And I'm going to talk about it here because I think I'm just going to put this on my Patreon for the members only, and maybe talk about it a little bit in YouTube in a different video with less, because I'm trying to protect certain other people that are part of this aspect of my journey, yet they may not fully be aware of their part in it because they have their own journey and my part in their journey. So we all play a part basically in each other's life path and journey to learn, help us shed some old layers of our past selves, based off of patterns passed down from our parents and their parents. So it's family patterns, ancestral patterns. And then when I really surrendered into it, and I'll go into more detail, when I really surrendered into my experience here, realizing how I had actually passed those patterns down to my son as well. So, fully knowing my birth chart and what was going to be impacted during this eclipse season and during some of the bigger shifts, Pluto going direct, Saturn going direct. I'm in the midst of my Chiron return still. However, that should be fizzling out for me soon. And this could be just gibberish to some of you, but these are energetic planetary transits that are big. The Saturn specifically is a big outer planet that we typically have our Saturn return between the age of 29 and 31, really impacting us around age 30. It's a big life shift. And then again, 60. And so, probably not much past that, but it is a huge game changer. So for me, I was impacted in my family, my home, as well as my 8th house of death, rebirth, sex, taxes, other people's money. But for me, it was death. So I've had some death in the family that really hit hard, as well as having a very eruptive experience with my daughter-in-law and my son, which then they ended up moving. They used to live below me. We bought a duplex. We bought this house. It's 2 homes in one, a duplex. And now they have moved out as of October 1st. And I took a lot of that very personally, but I was also aware of the shifts. It was very hard for me emotionally to stay in the flow of the energy, fully knowing that something was going to be revealed to me, but it was extremely, extremely emotional the way it happened. And it made it reflected back to me that I was the one to blame. I was the one at fault for other people's emotions, their emotional outbursts at me, and all of that. And I took that blame on, which then I ended up getting very sick. I ended up getting COVID, which I have not had the entire time we've been in this pandemic. Even when I thought I had it, my entire family got it. I was tested negative, not only at a home test, but also at my doctor's the last time. So, but this time was completely energetically taken out, emotionally drained, and very vulnerable. And I became extremely sick with COVID, and that took 2 weeks to clear out of my system, the really hard parts. And still Yeah, I don't think I'm battling with any of the after effects now, but anyway, it was a lot. I had a lot of change, a lot of people leaving my life, either leaving the planet or just physically moving out of my life. And to have my grandson, especially, which I had been with him since the day he was brought home from the hospital, almost every single day. And he's a spitting image of my son. And knowing that my son and I were working through healing some communication gaps that we had, I felt very frustrated that I couldn't get through, and I felt very isolated in the fact that I had to really sit with myself and sit with the guides, sit with the spiritual aspect of myself, which was hard when you're really in the thick of an emotional change. And I'm very aware, but it was almost as if I had two splits going on within me. The old version of myself that just cried and cried and cried for weeks on end, and then the other aspect of myself that was getting glimpses of the lessons, the growth, and the shedding of old layers of myself. So my reactions to all of that, I noticed, was not anywhere near what it would have been in past years. I did notice that growing up for me, I had a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse from a stepdad who's no longer, we don't even know where he's at, but it wasn't easy. And I'm the oldest of 5, which really brought me to become the family scapegoat, because I was, not to knock my parents or my mother, but this is just how my life path went. At age 10, when my parents divorced, my dad left the house, my mom started to work full-time and go to school. I was left to care for my younger siblings at the age of 10, as well as the household, the masculine chores of, taking care of the lawn, I had to figure all of that out. And I also ended up becoming the family scapegoat. And I even remember telling my siblings, and even my son, when they were very protective over them, whenever they were going through really tough times, and if they had to figure out like what to say, what to do, and I'd always tell them, just blame me, because I didn't care. Well, that came back full circle to me, and I found myself being blamed for a lot of things that I knew was not, the blame did not need to go on to me. That was my ego's mantra. Yeah, so I got to see that. And I want to point out, at this point in time, I'm shooting this on November 2nd, I was able to go up to 3 hours away to where my son and daughter-in-law and grandson now live, to visit. And I took my son's father. We're not married or together, and he actually has a lot of his own trauma that he's still healing from, including being homeless again. So he's going through some stuff, but I took him with me, and we ended up having a very bonding, healing trip. And it was definitely something intuitively I knew needed to be done, and I wanted to do it. And I'm really glad that I went on my intuitive senses. I didn't carry with me any of the guilt. I didn't carry with me any of the anger at some of the words that were projected at me. I really had to let it all go. And it took me a good bit of time, a few weeks, and a good 2 weeks to myself completely when I was sick with COVID, to really be able to cry, purge, see what all of these different things meant for me, and release it. Because I realized me being the family scapegoat, it left me, or at least this warrior, like the strong aspect of myself that had to develop at a young age to care for myself, protect myself and my siblings, and figure things out all on my own. That strong persona that I developed at such a young age, unconscious to me until more recent years, has always had a very big, giant defensive streak to it. Because of projections. But then I find that, these patterns develop into, I needed to always be right because I felt like I was always being under attack. So I was hyper vigilant and hyper like observing everybody else except for myself. So this was a really nice way. It was a very difficult way for me to observe myself. And I don't know how I can explain this for you guys to completely understand, but there are certain key words, there are certain key patterns that you can see playing in another person that you remember being within yourself, you being that way in your past. So seeing past versions of myself playing out through my daughter-in-law and my son and others around me as well really woke me up to, okay, this is the giant cosmic mirror showing me the parts of me that we're shedding, the parts of me that we are letting go of. So it's been a wild ride. And on top of that, really working on my own personal masculine energy and that strong warrior energy that I carry with me can be of benefit to me, but it does need to be tempered with the feminine aspect of me that has a deeper intuitive understanding and knowing of what I'm experiencing and what we all are collectively experiencing, and merge the two together so that that aspect of me and the other aspect of me can work together in combination. And that is what we are all doing here right now, cosmically speaking. I've been talking about this for this entire year, but longer actually. This period of time that we're in now, the end of 2022, is quite the shedding of the old. And so I've also had to say goodbye to some friends that I deeply, deeply do love and care for. And I had to come to a realization that there are some people that had been in my life that were reflecting to me that I was not. So we all have needs, especially within relationships. And I've had a habit of sweeping all the red flags under the rug because I have this deep need to be connected to people. And when they show me that they have certain understandings and aspects the same as I do, as far as the cosmic world and the spiritual world even, that's still new for me or more rare for me. So I embraced that, but then realizing that, okay, there are certain people that have been placed in my life to teach me. We all have this happen. To teach me about myself, to teach me about how I am going to grow and evolve into a much more mature, wise soul here on the planet. And I realized I hadn't been really straightforward with certain people, protecting their emotions. And, that's the empathic side, the sensitive side of me. Doesn't want, I have an understanding of how my words and my energy can be painful to people. And so I hold that back. And I found a way to be honest with how I felt within certain relationships and what my needs truly are within relationships, which is basically, real, raw, honest, truthful, people who say what they mean and mean what they say and follow up with actions. I've had a lot of people come into my, not a whole lot, but I've had some key players come into my life showing me that aspect of me where maybe I am promising too much to certain people and not following through. And I can certainly see that to a degree, not to the degree that it was given to me, but that's the thing. When we receive when we receive certain patterns of behavior from other people that we don't quite like, or worse, deep triggerings, it's usually a lot more intense. It's meant to get our attention. so that we can see that this is where we're at, cosmically speaking. We're at this part where it's time for me to shed. That version of me that is playing out, mirroring to me is a piece of me that I need to be aware of. Once we're aware of that, it really helps to dissipate that energy, and we can continue to flow through. Because we're in this pullback period with the Scorpio eclipse, where we're getting pulled back into old dynamics, old patterns, old negative ways of thinking. And it can be so enticing to fully get pulled back into the Scorpio energy, intoxicating even. So be mindful of this energy. Be aware of what's happening. If you feel like you're regressing, if you're getting pulled back into some old stuff and it doesn't feel right or good, sit with that, because it's showing you something. And as soon as you're aware of what it's showing you, the energy dissipates, and you can see the beautiful healing that is opening up for you and the others that may be playing this out with you. So I wanted to share that. I didn't write anything down. I have a lot. I've had so many important, I call them cosmic downloads, just big, giant aha moments for myself. And I wish I would have recorded them or written them down, but I was so busy actually experiencing them, and they were so intense for me that I didn't take the time. But each time that another memory of like, okay, yeah, I remember now, this is what I want to talk about. Maybe I'll go back and write them down when they come back up for me to remember them all, because it was a lot. In the last 2 months, I have learned so much about this journey, mine in particular, but the journey, the human journey, regardless. And we are all on our own unique path, and we are being squeezed. We're walking through a very narrow path right now. So it's 1 foot in front of the other is how you're going to get to the end of that path before it splits off, and we have a choice what direction you want to go. So we're still in the squeeze down, going through this very narrow path. So don't give up. Things are becoming very challenging for many. I also want to bring up finances. That's definitely been something that has been coming up in my radar, and fear of not having enough, not what am I going to do, how am I going to survive on this planet financially speaking. It is definitely in the planetary energies. It is also definitely collective energy, and you will notice change. Throat chakra, you'll notice changes that are slowly starting to unfold within the financial markets, within the banks, even corruption starting to show itself. We're going to be going through a huge change financially as worldwide over the next 2 to 3 years. We are just getting started in seeing what we're up against there, but don't let that deter you either. That is collective. That is showing us that there's a different way. There's a better way. And not to keep spinning your wheels in the same old way, because it's going to exhaust you. It's going to cause you frustration. And it's very mental. And it's linked to past experiences, our parents' past experiences, fear, safety, security, and the only thing I can say about this right now is to really ride it out. Try not to panic. Try not to let fear get its grip on you and control what you do. Mars is in retrograde now in Gemini, and so that's going to be it's going to be really hard to execute something that is not meant for you. We're gonna have attempts. I've even had my own, when you have a little moment of panic, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Allow your panic, but don't take action unless it's something your heart knows, you resonate, you feel it. Because when I did not take action on certain things that would have certainly helped me, put more money in my bank account, it would have also tracked me into an older pattern, an older version of me, that I'm very well aware of. So what that is showing me also is that there are going to be, and there already are, but there will be more and more opportunities that start to open up. First, they're going to start off as synchronicities and signs. Pay attention to them all. But when you finally get over the hump of not repeating patterns from the past, especially when it comes to finances, you will find once you get past that fear and you kind of relax back into your energy, witness, observe, and you'll start to see little signs, little synchronicities of possibilities that are more designed towards you. And don't jump on those either. I mean, you could, that's fine. Everybody's path is unique, but it's almost like witness, notice, continue to put out into the energy that, yeah, this looks good, this feels good. Show me, you know, and I highly suggest waiting to the end of this year before taking strong action, unless you must. There are certain people where in their life path right now, they must make a change. They must make a decision or a choice one way or the other. They're getting squeezed that way. So if you're in that category, follow your intuition, follow your heart, follow your gut in the direction that you're getting squeezed towards. We do have guidance here. The key point in saying all of this is that to be pulled back into old patterns, old ways of thinking, old ways of being, that is the energy now, but just for witnessing. If you fall back all the way into acting, being the older versions or the older patterns, you're certainly you're gonna come back up out of that and notice it. But I'm just trying to save some steps for some people who may have already played this part of the game a few times around, and you're like, I've been here before. I feel like I'm in the washing machine just going around and around in a spin cycle. We're in that karmic wheel right now. So the best thing I can tell everybody to do is just kind of hang on, feel with your heart, breathe through it all. It's a lot. And then, you know, there's other things happening out in the world that are going to add to that fear, that panic, that worry, that you don't have to feed into. Truly, do not feed into. I think I'm going to get a couple cards here just for us to keep going. I wish I remembered. Maybe the cards will remind me. A lot of heightened emotion and tension, and this next eclipse in Taurus next week, in 6 days from the time I'm recording this, is going to be much more intense than the first one for many. But I can assure you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Understand what's truly happening here energetically. And if you can just tap back into your heart and out of your head as often as possible, stay very present and conscious to everything, mostly your emotions, your feelings. This is what was being stripped from me so that I could be fully, solely in my emotional body, in my feelings all the time, because that's where our spidey senses are, that's where our intuition is, that's our link to the ethereal, our link to other energies that are supportive. So stay in the feelings. There's going to be some ugly feelings, some scary feelings, some nasty feelings come up if you haven't dealt with them yet. So deal with them, meaning just allow them to come up, observe, witness, feel through them. The more we do that, they're going to dissipate, and we'll be more comfortable in our emotions, in our feelings, and expressing that side of us. So be as vulnerable and as transparent as you can be is basically what we're being squeezed into. It's a beautiful thing. I'm watching others in my life, in my family, where we were very dark, period, squeezing through, but now we're just expressing our feelings, not out of anger. I mean, there's emotion behind it. There had been, but now it's much more, we're reconnected to each other again, heart to heart. I see you, you see me. All the way, I see into you, into me, see, intimacy. I see you, you see me, and we get each other. That's the connection. So we're not divided by thoughts and old patterns and old pain and fear and worry and all of these other things. That's what's trying to get stripped away from us. And like through this holidays to this Halloween season, that's, you know, it's gotten pretty spooky for a lot of people. Their own dark side, their own shadow, and it plays out in other people too. Okay. Impulse control is so important to pay attention to your impulse control. Not everybody has good control over their impulses, basically is what I'm saying here. Impulses to speak, impulses to take action, impulses to judge, all of these, impulse control. Take a breath. Every time you feel that eruptive, like, I gotta do, like, okay, why do I have to do this now? Be as present as you can in this energy. I promise you it's going to get better. But it is intense. Intense right now. And if you're not feeling that now, either you're still in denial of certain things that are trying to get your attention. Nobody is out of the squeeze here yet, not until the end of the year, and that's as far as I'm going predictive wise based off of astrology. Okay, so there's a lot of paranoia going on right now. Scorpio is pretty good with that. And remember, I think I said maybe it was a zodiac, but all of the millennial generation, their natal Pluto is in Scorpio. So all of the millennial generation is being highly impacted right now for great change. Now also understand that their life experience is different than ours. Their perception is different than ours. Yeah, loyalties are being tested for sure. We have loyalty that came out. And what I've learned through my journey and what I'm getting right now is being loyal on the journey is loyal to the heart-centered energy, loyal to the spiritual aspect of this life, loyal to seeing the other side, but mostly loyal to how you feel. I had to be very, very extremely deeply honest with some people in this last week. That was hard for me because I knew it was going to be not easy for them to digest my truth. Yet I had to. It was being shown to me. If I don't, this pattern is going to continue over and over again, and people are going to, I'm going to get my feelings hurt over and over and over again until I speak out, until I say, this is hurting my feelings, and this is what I need out of relationships. And I didn't really sit with my needs first and foremost too, because are my needs codependent? Are my needs, not based out of my heart? And, it came down to right now, yeah, in the past, sure. But now, especially this whole year, my needs are definitely heart-centered. And I need to give that to myself more. As well as I need to express my truth, my needs to others that are not seeing that aspect. It's part of my lessons to be straightforward with people on how I feel about things when I'm deeply impacted by their energy, even if it's a projection or even if it is a reflection to me. It is two-sided. I can get what I need to get out of this lesson in being connected to another person, but this other person is also getting something from being connected to me. And if I can see what they're getting out of being connected to me, I can also see what I'm getting out of being connected to them. And it is life lessons. We are learning and evolving and growing. But if the other person cannot see that, that is a huge sign to Love them from a distance. Love them, but be honest. My needs are not being met in this scenario. And this is why. I need space. Or whatever it is for you. It's your truth. It's no more scapegoats. No more sugarcoating things. That was a strong one. Yeah. Because when we sugarcoat, meaning, you know, we don't point out what is hurtful. We don't point out, you know, what I need is actually someone to truly connect to me and not be afraid. I don't need lip service. I don't need gifts. I don't need people to tell me that all the things that they can do and want to do with me and then run in a whole different direction doing completely the opposite thing of what they say. What someone says and what they do must match. And going through myself too, no judgment, but because there's been a lot of deceit, especially in relationship connections, where we're not completely straightforward and fully honest with our experience being in a relationship with the other person. And vice versa. We end up wearing a false mask. We end up deceiving ourselves and the other person when we're not fully honest with how we feel. And when we're not fully honest about how we feel. We can do this with love. That's why I'm pointing out to walk this path from the heart. So then we will not be deceived any longer. Last one. And I hope to get on to doing the zodiac this week. It's already being Wednesday. I've been away for a few days. Just got home from taking my cat to the vet. I don't know, I'm just going with the flow on how that is. I was being a little too regimented, I think, because I was caring about the timing of it all for other people. But I'm guided to just really follow how the feeling aspect of this energy. High Priestess of Earth. Another big lesson that we're getting right now are the lessons of the things that are here in the material world on Earth that are that we can touch, we can experience, we can touch, taste, sense, smell here on Earth. There are lessons within that. Our possessions, our material possessions, our homes, our vehicles, our businesses. There's so much going on in that realm for many people as far as life lessons, dignity, honesty, being straightforward with people and with yourself. Yeah. And most important is the belonging aspect. This goes back to connection, how to connect to other people. I see you. I see into you. I want you to see into me. When we connect intimately, and this has nothing to do with sex, this is how we bond and connect with another human being. Not from the surface. We're never going to get a sense of belonging. And this is important as a human species. We are not meant to be here individually. Yes, we are to know ourselves individually, but we are a group species. Just like animals. We do need to work with each other. We do need each other. We need love, compassion, caring, understanding. We need human touch. I'm like hugging myself. We need that. That is no joke. We need to feel like we belong to a family, to a community. And that's where a lot of our life lessons are creeping up for us all right now. And below this is playful along with rigid. So the two sides of the same coin, right? I know that for myself, being really guarded with my heart and my energy all of my life, well, from age 10 up until now, or more recent, having a barrier or a wall, a protective wall, really, my rigidity really impacted me a lot. And it was projected to me, back to me through all of my life experiences until I finally woke up out of that. So it's really important to become more playful with life, become more playful with the energy when you're able to, and it's not something you can force, but it is a version of consciousness. It is a perspective. I had this happen with me today where some of my benefits and money, assistance that I get was cut off, and not just for myself, but for others. And getting that renewed was, I had to jump through many hoops. I had many different people tell me to do this, drop this off here, did all that. Another person like, nope, this isn't done right. I don't know who told you to do that. Got to do this, and this. And the old me had been like so freaking frustrated and angry at this point, because it's been like over a month I've been dealing with this, but something clicked. Something happened within me after my visit and healing experience with my family, that I knew that this was the universe testing me and checking in with me, checking in with my temper tantrums. Not that I won't have them from time to time, but today in giving it another crack at getting some of my benefits renewed, I was met with some very helpful, very nice people on the other side that guaranteed me that they were going to fix and take care of the situation, and that it was not going to be a long wait, that by this Friday I should have those benefits turned back on. And it was nice to see how my attitude, my perspective changed, and I did not lash out. I did not even if I didn't lash out, I didn't have any turmoil going on inside of me. I'm just, okay, there's a reason why these things are delayed. There's a reason why there's a lot of complications going on right now, and it's beyond my control. It truly is. The only thing I tried to point out, which I don't know if it was received or not, was that I wasn't the only one having this experience. I know many other people having the same experience, so it's something within their computer system. If somebody could just take a peek at that. So we'll see. I mean, the universe operates through computer systems too, and if they want to put a hold or make some funky things happen for life lessons like this, it will. I also was met with another woman that I don't know at the office who was in the same boat as me and had the same attitude, like, well, we're just going to try this again, like smiling. And I'm like, yep, I'm here the same reason you are. And she's like, oh, I'm not the only one. I'm like, no, you're not the only one at all. I think there's a lot more people having this technical issue and these things. And we weren't panicking. We're like, okay, we'll try this again. So that kind of attitude, and maybe just a more playful attitude with life and with the life challenges that we are being faced with right now, really helps a lot. And you know, even that experience with this other woman in the office, trying to get her benefits renewed, having the same thing. When I had mentioned, like, yep, you're not the only one, we bonded. We both belonged in the same boat. We were both having a very similar experience and a very similar, you know, and she had even mentioned, she's like, I just want to do this now, to the reception woman, because I have a sick mother at home. Like, she has a lot of things going on too. And we can tend to really get ourselves worked up and frustrated and lash out at people and lash out at systems. And I certainly have done this myself too. But then there's no common bond that we can actually connect with the people on the other side who are really just trying to do their job truly. So that's where I'm going to leave this for right now. I want to keep going, but outdoors is calling me right now. It's so nice outside, and I have to take advantage of that. But I hope that this, if some of you resonate with this and it's more helpful for you, knowing that if you're experiencing any of these things right now, and it doesn't have to be exactly what I'm experiencing, but you know, shakeups and breakups within family dynamics and within friendship circles and community relationships. Even I even had a neighbor lash out at my sister the other day, and I'm like, and he is totally not the type of person to, like do anything but smile and be jolly. So that was like an indicator too, that like many people are going through some big changes, and a lot of times it gets darker before it gets lighter. So stay true on your path, stay in your heart. This is truly a huge squeeze and a little bit of a pull back. Don't panic. Try not to fall back, but realize I'm being pulled back to see something that I missed, to see something about me or within me that I didn't pick up because there's so much chaos going on. So don't panic if you got pulled back into something. It's definitely for a reason. So take good care of yourself. I love you all. And energetic hygiene, important. We're still in, the veil is very thin, meaning that our connection, our experience, even visually, sensory to the other realms is very, it's, you know, there isn't much of a barrier between those two right now. So try not to get pulled into paranoia and fear through any of it. It's actually a really beautiful process if you allow it. So, and self-care, not a luxury, a necessity. Take care, everybody. Bye.